Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Roast in the Ceilings podcast. And today we have with us a guest, a youth advocate, Iris. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Iris and I am a current junior based in Michigan and I am really involved in a lot of nonprofit work. I founded my own nonprofit called ECHO and I'm also part of a lot of other nonprofits including Dear Asian Youth and Origami for Good. And I'm here today to share some of my experiences on solving inequalities, especially as youth leaders.
Yeah, we found that super interesting because, we love talking about that on the podcast. We love talking about youth getting involved to kind of meet gaps that we see in the world. So I'm really interested in your nonprofit that you started, Echo. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so ECHO is a nonprofit dedicated to mitigating inequalities within music. We provide free music opportunities for underserved students, including free lessons and free workshops and competitions. So I actually got started on this as part of my marching band because I'm part of the marching band and I see a lot of peers who want to get involved in music but don't necessarily have the time or economic resources. And so my idea just came from there.
Wow. So have you always been like super musical? What's the story there? What's the inspiration?
Yeah, so I started piano at 5 years old and I moved on to flute in middle school. And it's always been a great source of joy for me, and I've always stuck with it.
I know you mentioned a little bit about like economic and time pressures that could stop people from getting into music. Could you expand a little bit more on that? I'm really curious about like what other limitations are stopping youth from getting into music because I think music's one of the coolest things you can do as a kid.
Yeah, so music is definitely a really fun thing to do, but the cost of purchasing instruments and music can be really costly. And while our school has a really great music program, one band teacher simply cannot deal individually with, say, like 200 students per grade within the band program. And it is just really hard getting the individual attention that each individual musician needs. And if a musician wants to, say, get involved with private lessons, that is very costly sometimes, depending on what your financial situation is. And you would also have to travel great distances. And so that's what first inspired me to make this idea of an online lesson and an online free lesson, because that cuts the time needed to travel to private lesson spaces and also cuts the cost as well.
I love that. That's incredible. Um, how many people do you work with for this? Because I assume it's not you giving every single lesson, right? So like, what does your team kind of look like? Who's around you?
So I have a team of 15 global executive team members, and they help with various departments such as volunteer, marketing, and finance. And this team I slowly built up over time. And at first, it was just me and my co-founder, Catherine, who goes to the same school as me. And we started recruiting tutors from our Instagram platform. And now I think we have 70, 100 tutors.
That's incredible. Yeah, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but like I'm in awe. But like I know a lot of our viewers kind of have these dreams of making a nonprofit that can help people too. So I'm sure they're really curious, how do you get started with something like this? Like you have a giant team now, you have many tutors, you've organized all of this. But when it was just you and your co-founder, what were the first steps that you took to kind of make this possible?
Yeah, so with the digital age now, I think getting started is a super easy thing. I just started by making an Instagram account and just making a lot of posts, getting the word out there. I also told my high school band teacher and middle school band teacher, and they helped recruited some students from there. And then it just started with me and my co-founder. We tutored some piano students, flute students, and then when the word got out, more people wanted to join, and especially people from my high school and from social media, we got a lot more tutored applications as well. I believe one of the first tutors uh, had auditioned on an Ethiopian drum. So that was super interesting. Yeah. Social media really helps you reach a lot of people.
Love that. Oh my gosh. I love that you're constantly through grassroots actions
Mhm.
bridging that gap and ensuring that kids get to play music and get to learn and through so many different cultures as well. And I'm curious in that sense with all of your work in education equity, what do you think is the biggest thing that people are missing nowadays? What is this issue that stands out to you that you think needs to be bridged the most?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people just don't realize a lot of the issues that are happening in their community. And I think that if you have the power to impact just another person or your local community, then keeping an eye out for these issues and some problems your peers might face is a really good way to make a good impact in your community and also give back to your peers who have helped you.
Yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. Now, I want to ask you, when you found out this problem, when you saw this problem, you observed that like, oh, a lot of people don't have access to music education, and you had the idea, let's bridge that gap. I'm sure there were some anxieties, right? Like in my head, if I was in that position, I'd be like, oh, but what if no one signs up to tutor? What if no one signs up to be tutored? What if no one engages? So for those people who might be in a similar position, how do you get past that initial mental barrier to get started?
Yeah, that was definitely a big concern that was going through my head. And I would just say to take the first step forward
Mm-hmm.
and to start small, because if you start small, then there's really no worries for you to fail. Like, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to have such big dreams. Because
Mm-hmm.
at first, I also started with a really small local organization, and it just kind of slowly ramped up momentum. And so if you start small and don't hold that big dreams, well, actually hold big dreams,
Mm-hmm.
but take one step at a time and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, that's definitely really insightful. Um, I'm curious, do you have any like mentors who you kind of look to help in this, or was it really just you and trying things, or who did you have to kind of look up to? Who was there to help?
For me, I don't think I had a significant mentor.
Mhm.
Instead, it was more of a community of advocates I got
Mhm.
to know. I was also involved in another organization that had a big impact on me, Origami for Good. And then working in a team has helped me learn so much about how to just run a team effectively and then how to actually make an impact. And I'm super grateful for my experience there and all the people I met there. And that community of advocates really helped me get started in my own initiative and also helped me grow as an advocate to help more work in that organization as well.
Tell us more about this community of advocates. How did you first find or build this community?
Yeah. So I first joined Origami for Good, actually through a hiring post they had looking for executive team applications. And I just randomly applied because why not?
Mhm.
And I never thought that I actually get in. And so when I got in, I was super happy and I was super excited to join all their meetings. And then it was super insightful because the founders, Daira and Vivian, they were super nice and they were super enthusiastic about their cause as well. And their enthusiasm really affected me. And I learned how to kind of devote myself fully into the specific cause and the specific mission that I set out to achieve. And through Origami for Good, I also got to meet a lot of the other executive team members. And this also inspired me to get involved in more nonprofits and also more clubs in my school. And that's how I built this entire community of network that supported me.
Sure. I want to ask, what are your tips for making the most out of a network or a community? Because having this community and having this access to it is amazing, but I'm sure you didn't just say like, "Hi guys, I'm Iris," and leave it at that, right? So what are your
Mhm.
tips so people can actually like make genuine connections that can help them in the future?
Yeah. I think the most important thing with connections is you shouldn't ever have to force it. Most of the connections and friends and support network that I have was built through having a common passion. For example, I am part of Mock Trial and BPA and a lot of other clubs. And I joined these clubs because I'm just really interested in public speaking and then helping others, and having the same passion made it much more easier to meet new people. And this also gave kind of a natural segue to building deeper relationships. And if you devote yourself fully to your common mission or common passion, then people would gladly, willingly help you as well.
Speaking of passions and dreams and big things like that, it's getting so exciting. I want to ask you, Iris, you have already done so much for your community, and I'm wondering in the future, what is it that you're looking to do? What are some big goals?
Yeah, so in the next year, I am hoping to expand ECHO by having more in-person workshops as well within the local community. For right now, I have already made a first workshop during August of a intro to music workshop within my local library. And I'm also seeking to host another workshop soon in a nearby city. And I'm hoping to implement that through our chapters globally as well. So that way we can not only have online one-to-one lessons, but we can also have in-person group workshops. That way these children who have not had experience with music yet can learn to love music and also establish their own network, own community as well through interacting with other students who have the same passions as them.
I love that you're like giving back to your local community by like being in your local community and like communicating with these libraries and organizations. Can you talk a little bit about that process? How do you like reach out to these spaces near you, these libraries, and how do you kind of communicate and build that relationship with them to be able to make these events come to life?
Yeah, I would just say just go ahead and email and say, hi, my name is Iris, and I'm a student in your local community in this local high school, and I would love to start a program that helps students within my community. And people would very gladly help you because your passions would be echoed in the same way. And so I would just say take the first step. If you're willing to help others, then others would gladly help you as well.
I liked it when you said echoed. I don't know if you meant to make that a pun, but I really liked it.
Also, I giggled at that, so I'm glad you did.
That was 100% intentional, trust.
Okay. Well, like what I'm hearing from this podcast episode so far, right? You've made your own nonprofit, which is it's global, it's international, it's also local. You're doing all these events. You're a part of many more nonprofits that you have big roles in. You're in clubs, you're in school, you're in high school. How are you balancing all of this? What tips do you have to be able to manage all of this and still kind of be involved in every single one?
Yeah, to be honest, it does get a lot sometimes. And so the number one tip I'd have is to be aware of all the responsibilities you have and space them out. For example, some of the clubs I have, they're only active later in the year, while the other ones are earlier in the year. And so if you can intentionally space out these responsibilities and also outline the goals you have every single day, for example, I just put it in my Notion calendar or my
Mm.
Notes app. And then you can time block yourself out as well in your Google Calendar and basically have a list of all the responsibilities you have to do and also leave some time for yourself as well so you don't get burnt out. And if you can have this both short-term and long-term view of all of your responsibilities, what you want to get done, then it won't really feel too much like a chore or a significant burden on you.
Tell me more about the time blocking. I've seen this all the time and I'm really curious if it works for you. Like how do you time block? Do you like how easy is it to follow that process for you? What benefits do you see from that sort of scheduling?
Yeah, for time blocking, I mainly just do it on good old Google Calendar.
I love
And
Google
I would
Calendar.
just say this hour I want to get these specific things done. And
Mhm.
I wouldn't recommend just stacking activity on top of activity on top of activity because you can get burnt out really quickly. So, how I like to do it is just to have an hour of productive time and what I want to get done in that hour, and then add some breaks inside so you don't get too tired. And so it won't feel like you're obligated to do something, but rather you're going and moving towards that goal.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Spacing things out, taking breaks. This is good advice. Do you have any other advice, maybe more towards like starting a nonprofit, starting a movement, just creating something? Because I'm sure a lot of younger girls would love to know the kind of process you went through.
Yeah. So I'd say for creating something, definitely find a partner or someone who is similarly as passionate as you. I found a co-founder also in my marching band, and I know for sure that she is also as passionate as music as me, and she also cares about bridging inequalities. And so that is one thing that I would definitely recommend. If you don't have an existing community to pull from, you can also look to actual digital forums actually, because I met a lot of people through Discord actually and a lot of programs. So if you don't have anyone in mind in your local community, feel free to look there as well. As for actually getting started, feel free to just make a social media account, find a mission, find what you want to do, and just start doing it.
I love the co-founder note because,
Mm-hmm.
Maggie and I, we feel that.
We
Um,
get that 100%.
yeah, and I love what you said about just getting started and having that support and going out and finding that. And I love that you mentioned having similar passions, like bridging inequalities.
Mhm.
So I think to close this off as well, for young girls who are still looking for that passion, are looking for what gap they want to solve, what would your advice be to them for how to find that gap, how to find that spark?
Yeah, I would say look at your local community, listen to your peers, your friends, see what they're complaining about or what part of life they want to improve. And if you're thinking more globally, learn more about the world, learn more about what types of things you're interested, what topics you're interested. Watch TED Ed videos or read some books. And then once you find out what you're curious about and what you want to solve, just go ahead and start doing it.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today, Iris.
Thank you so much. This was an amazing experience, and I'm so glad I got to be on here with you guys.